Thank you for the purchase of your brand new Traditional Workstation. The very first segment of this video, we're going to show you all of the pieces and all of the parts that the table requires. Section number 2, we're going to show you all of the tools that you will need to assemble the workstation. And then section number 3, step by step, we will do the assembly process. Let's get started. In section number 1, we're going to cover all of the parts for your workstation. Part number 1, we have the tabletop. Part number 2, we have one of the side legs, which is A. Part number 3, we have the other leg, which is the B. Then we have the 2 runners. We have the C runner, and then we have the D runner. Then we have the assembly bar that goes underneath the table. And in the last box, you're going to get your power box and remote, and you're also going to get the hardware, which I'm going to let Nehemiah explain to you right now.
We're going to get 14 wood screws, 2 long bolts, 4 short, 2 brackets for your traditional table, 2 hinges, their bolts and nuts, 4 nuts and washers for your 2 locking and 2 non-locking casters.
In section number 2, today we are going to cover the tools that you need for assembly for your traditional workstation. Nehemiah, would you care to share with them the tools?
We have a 1/2-inch wrench, a size 5 hex, a size 6 hex, and a size 3 Phillips. We recommend using a drill.
In section number 3, today we are going to do the actual assembly of the traditional workstation. And so let's go ahead and get started now. Nehemiah, what do we do first?
To begin with, we're going to take our tabletop and put it face down on a table to start our assembly.
The very first thing that we are going to do is we are going to attach our hinges. You're going to see 2 holes that are closest to the edge of the table. And these 2 holes are on each side. There's 2 holes here and there's 2 holes here. That's where the hinges are going to go. Now, you're also going to see 2 holes in the back on either side. The 2 holes on the back are for the Sensational upgrade that you may want to get in the future, so it will not be used at this current time. The only holes that you're going to use for the hinges are the 2 holes that are closest to the edge of the table. These 2 holes and these 2 holes. So Nehemiah, let's go ahead and attach those hinges now.
All right. We're going to grab our 2 hinges and 4 wood screws to attach them to the front of the table. 2 things you should know while attaching your hinge is the rounded edge needs to go towards the front of your table, and you need to start both of your wood screws in the hinge before you go all the way in. If you don't do that, you may lose control of this bracket and it may start free spinning on you. And now we're going to repeat that process on the other side of the table. We're going to start our screws. You want to make sure it is flush with the bottom of the table. Next, after the hinges are attached, we're going to attach our legs. We'll start with the B leg. For this, we're going to grab these 2 bolts, these 2 nuts, our 1/2-inch wrench, which is for the nuts, and our size 6 hex, which is for the bolts. Now let's grab our B plate. We're going to grab our bolt, pass it through from the leg side, through the hinge, take our nut and attach it. Take our wrench on the nut side and our Allen wrench on the bolt side. Next, we're going to attach the A leg. Again, grab your bolt and your nut, and you'll notice the hinge's round side is facing the front of the table, matching with the hinge on the leg. We're going to pass our bolt through the leg side, through the hinge, and then we're going to attach our nut. We're going to take our 1/2-inch wrench, attach it on the nut side, and our size 6 hex on the bolt side. Next, we're going to attach our D runner to the back of our table. You can identify the D runner by the power box bracket located on it. For the D-runner, we're gonna need 6 screws, 3 for each side. You can locate the D-runner between the legs. You'll see there's 3 holes, and we're just gonna line our runner up with those 3 holes on both sides. Next, we're gonna attach our C-runner. You can identify the C-runner by the notches taken out of it for the hinges. The C located on the runner will be facing on the outside of the table. To attach our C-runner, we're going to need 4 wood screws. Now we're going to attach our traditional brackets. These L brackets, it's very important that we make sure to use the right bolt for the right side. The long side is going to attach through the back of the runner, and it's going to get our longer bolt. The short side is going to attach down into our tabletop into a brass insert. That's going to get our shorter bolt. It's very important that we make sure to use the right bolt for the right part. Now we're going to attach our traditional brackets. Dave, I'm going to need the long bolt first to attach to the back of the D-runner.
Long bolt.
Make sure you are using the right bolts for the right sides. Long bolt, long side of the bracket. There'll be a hole located on the back of your runner. Once our traditional bracket is mounted to our D-runner, it'll look just like this. If you look in the hole, there will be a brass insert in there. We're going to grab our short bolt for the short side of the bracket. We must use the short bolt on this part of the assembly. The bolt that goes into the bottom of your table must be the short bolt, or it will bust through the top of your table. Now we're going to attach the other side of our traditional bracket. Again, we're going to grab our long bolt for the long side that mounts to our D runner. Now that we have the bracket mounted to the D runner, we're going to grab our short bolt. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. We must use the short bolt for mounting the bracket to the bottom side of the table. If we do not, it will bust through the top of the table. We must use the short bolt. After our traditional brackets are mounted, now we're going to assemble the power box, plug in our actuators, and test our actuators. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our actuator cables and pass them through the cable management holes through to the inside of the table.
Do the same thing to the other side. We'll take the actuator cord, put it through the circle that is at the top of each leg, and bring them both into the center of the table.
Next thing we're going to do, after we've passed the cables through the cable management holes in the legs, we're going to color coordinate them into our power box. We're going to grab our blue cable, put it into the blue, and then our green cable, put it into the green. Once we have our cables assembled into our power box, we're going to mount them to our power box bracket. You're going to see this power box bracket, this power box is going to want to keep falling. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take some tape and wrap it around it. That way it's not going to want to fall while we're assembling the rest of our table. Once we have our table flipped over, we're going to take that tape off. As you can see, we've taken the slack off of our wires by putting them into our cable management hooks. You can do the same. Once everything's plugged in, we're going to test our actuators and the functions of our remote. Our remote has 6 buttons. top row for single leg action, second row for single leg action, and the double arrows are to actuate both legs at the same time. We're going to go up on each side for 5 seconds. Next side. And then we're going to test the function of both of them at the same time. All right, all the actions on our table are working. As intended. Next, after we've tested the function of our actuators, we're going to attach our stabilizer bar. To attach our stabilizer bar, we're going to take our 2 long bolts and we're going to locate on our leg where there's a missing bolt. That missing bolt is for our stabilizer bar. So we're going to start it, and then we're going to locate our stabilizer bar where that hole is. And we're going to do the same for the other side. Last step is to attach our casters. The 2 locking ones will be located in the front of our table. You can locate the front of your table by the side with the hinges. Locking caster for the front of the table. Non-locking for the back. We're going to grab our 4 nuts and 4 washers and just hand tight them on to our casters.
Once you assembled all the casters and you tighten them down, you're going to turn the table over and you're going to remove the tape, and that concludes the assembly of the traditional workstation. Now that you've seen your traditional workstation, there's a few things that I want to talk to you about this. The reason why we designed this table the way that we did with the 2 brackets in the back is so in the future, if you buy a traditional workstation and you want to make it a sensational workstation where the tabletop will tilt also, it's very, very simple to do. It's as simple as this. You're simply going to just remove the 2 brackets that go on the back of the D-runner, and then with the upgrade, it's $1,500. You're going to get the 2 6-inch actuators. That holes are already on the table that you've purchased. So when you purchase the traditional workstation and you see the extra holes there, the extra holes on top of the table and the extra holes in the legs, that is going to be for the mounting brackets for the 6-inch actuators. So it's literally this easy. You put the mounting brackets for the 6-inch actuators, you add the 6-inch actuators, and you're going to get a brand new power box and a brand new remote. Now, the remote that you're going to get, instead of having 6 buttons, it has 8 buttons, okay? And so this is how the features work. So the single button on top is for 1 single leg. It has single arrows up and down. The next side has single arrows up and down, and that is for the other side. Then the next row, you're going to see double arrows. Those double arrows are to raise and lower the legs at the same time. And then what we've added is the bottom row, which is going to make the tabletop tilt up in the front. So the actual tabletop. Now, the difference between the traditional and sensational is when you buy the traditional, it's less money and only the legs tilt. It's not until you buy your upgrade of the sensational that will allow you to have the tabletop tilt. And it's as easy as getting the hardware, the power box, the remote, and the actuators as a $1,500 upgrade. And it just takes minutes to upgrade your table from a traditional to a sensational. Now, here's the caveat. If you're watching this video, then that means you've watched it to assemble the traditional workstation. So if you're purchasing the workstation that we just did the assembly video for, that means you have the ability to upgrade. So anything after September of 2024, any traditional that is purchased after September of 2024 will have the ability to upgrade to the sensational. If you bought a traditional workstation and it was before September of 2024, it will not have the ability to upgrade to the sensational. So if you're watching this, congratulations, because you are one of the ones that will be able to buy the upgrade in the future.